Barkada Salah, good evening to you and thank you for joining us on News 360. I am Ayisha Yakubu.
And I am Martin Asiedu Dartey. Here are the headlines for the next 1 hour.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
One dies from fire outbreak in a 7-bedroom house at Nima in Accra.
Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman in good condition following concerns over her health.
Also coming up, Ministry of Health says a more robust stakeholder collaboration is required to deal with the rising abuse of opioids among a section of the Ghanaian youth.
On the international front, Russia still working with the U.S. after Trump says he is angry with President Putin. We have details of all these stories and more. Be part of the show. Let's hear what you make of the many stories we have for you tonight.
Not every Muslim is in a celebratory mood. Some residents of Koho near Nima were left to count their losses after a fire swept through a 7-bedroom house, resulting in the death of a young man and another person injured. Lord Idwasare reports.
Instead of joining in on the celebrations of the Eid, these members are reeling at the effects of a 3-hour inferno that destroyed their home. What began as a preparatory meal for the Eid celebrations ended up becoming the means for destruction.
Mami no one we dwan but na gas ni leak mi so nim say gas ni leak nti won ya eminwa kito be frame mi say e dai bi issue how but obi ni dan em so koto fish abasede na kwani friend me friend na mi kito me fa say on be yi fuse because em say e dai bi issue na mi wa fa be yi fuse ni free but o yi fuse ni still na dan ni issue mami ko oba na I late pra wan bantem oba na late.
Other housemates recounted their losses.
I bought new jalabia. I said I could go down today. All burnt. Now I left only this in my skin where I get. Some people now before they make contribution, they buy me jalabia. Somebody give me to somebody. I don't want to give you. I don't see how yet. It's inside the black rubber. See my room, everything. I don't pick anything. I want to enter the room. Smooth. It cover me. Where I don't come back outside.
I say, be careful because at the end, you better to be the best thing is nipa wo hodia. He said before Uber be say, we share now we careful. And yes, sir, the same there to better atum.
In his bid to help the situation, this good Samaritan lost his life.
Like boy, ono yi gas ni free them and like. Open to my will be no year gas and so fine. Or you zingun, or we ain't or back here more inside. Like I'll see be shock or be so be me any shocking. Or tremuna only side incident, or ye not tidy. Hey, or be boy.
The housemates had a message for the family of the dead young man.
And for his family, I'm very sorry they are going through hardship on this day. He's our brother. He's a very good friend of ours. May his soul rest in peace.
This fire starts around 5:30, and if you look closely around, virtually everything is gone. Household items, cooking pots, everything you see here has been burnt. None has been able to be salvaged. You see how the coming days will look like and how they are going to recover from this. Lord Idwasare, TV3 News, Accra.
A sad way to celebrate the Eid. Well, in other news this evening, the prevalence of drug abuse is rapidly escalating into serious crisis within the Wa metropolis. This has become quite alarming, especially among city authorities who warn that the situation threatens the future leadership and development of the metropolis. Correspondent Ibrahim Wangara has more in this report.
The alarming rise in drug abuse is casting a shadow over the future of the youth in the Wa metropolis. Illicit drugs among young people is no longer a hidden secret, a stark reality that confronts the community. But what drives this disturbing trend of drug abuse among the youth? Baba James Anabiga is the Speaker of the Upper West Regional Youth Parliament, a youth advocacy-led group.
The rate at which the youth abuses substances and drugs is so alarming. We've got students that if they are going to be disciplined, especially even though Kenny is not allowed, but some take a lot of drugs, especially tramadol, with the expectation that if they go and the teacher wants to discipline them, once they kill them, it will not enter because they are under the control of the drugs. That is one of the things. And another thing that we also heard of is the fact that some people abuse these drugs because of sexual reasons.
The head of the Wa Metropolitan Narcotics Control Commission, ANCOJB Abisek, recently submitted a detailed report to the minister and the regional youth parliament, highlights that a significant portion of the drug abuse involves readily available over-the-counter medications.
Yes, it's surging because it is very common now to come across an addict or an abuser, because some of these drugs they take, it just manifests on them physically. Majority of these abuse comes from legal drugs, like the tramadol, like the Unim Reds, now the popular saying on the street now, Unim Reds.
In response to this alarming situation, Upper West Regional Minister Charles Luanga Posin has expressed concern. He announced the establishment of a formidable task force aimed at confronting the pervasive menace.
I have decided to set up a task force made up of heads of the following institutions, for which I'll be the chairman. We have Narcotic Authority, the military, the police, 2 representatives of the House of Chiefs, Food and Drugs Board, Immigration, Customs Division of the GRA, and the Principal State Attorney's Office are not going to be part of the task force, but are going to be responsible for prosecutions.
As the metropolis grapple with this issue, the need for comprehensive strategies and support system has become increasingly urgent to safeguard the well-being of young individuals and reclaim the promise of a healthier tomorrow. Ibrahim Wangara, TV3 News, Wa Metropolis.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health says a more robust stakeholder collaboration is required to deal with the rising abuse of opioids among a section of the Ghanaian youth. There's also been an expert advice suggesting a workable approach to redeem those already in the web of crisis stage of addiction.
They were initiated, experimented, became regular users, risky users, and slowly became dependent on the drugs. Several Ghanaian youth have now been gripped by the claws of addiction of opioids. The latest trajectory is the use and abuse of red. The heightened usage of the synthetic opioid, which leaves its users in a depressed and euphoric mood and mostly causes them to doze off even while standing, has become a major concern. Dr. Amma Ampumabuadu, a psychiatrist and deputy director of the Ghana Health Service, is of the view that some special reasons may be behind the use and abuse of the drug by the youth.
It's really a sad situation that the youth, who are the future of our country and the future of the world, are into, the use of these substances. But let's not put our arms up in the air, because I would want us to look at addiction as a disease of the brain, just like we look at the other physical conditions. It's not a moral issue such that if you see somebody that is hooked onto these drugs, You know, we don't just neglect or shun them, but they need a lot of love, they need a lot of care. Having said that, we need to, you know, have a whole systems approach, a whole societal approach.
She suggests effective and responsible parenting for preventing abuse of drugs.
Can we go back into how our family system is now? Now, every parent, most parents are out of home and all that. Who is nurturing our children? There's the TV, and there's a lot that they are exposed to with, you know, access to internet, their friends, they go to school and all that. And it looks like we as adults have left the younger ones to be on their own. Sometimes people do this out of, you know, curiosity, you know. They hear about it and would want to try it. And unfortunately, addiction is a disease. So you try it once and then you try it another time. Gradually, you are hooked onto it.
Speaking to TV3 News about preventive measures, Technical Director of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Hafiz Adam, said a collective collaboration between various stakeholders is required. He, however, says law enforcement will be enhanced to clamp down on persons who are engaged in illegal sale of drugs.
We've always been doing that, and the enforcement of the drugs that are not supposed to be in the hands of those who are not supposed to handle them is up. And I'm sure you'll be hearing our regulatory agencies such as FDA, you know, making sure that, you know, those who are selling drugs in the vehicles, you know, roadside, claiming that one drug can treat about 20 diseases and all those things. We are embarking on that education, and our agency, regulatory agencies are embarking on that so that we minimize, you know, the accessibility of those who are not supposed to access this drug and to misuse them.
Sharing her expert opinion, Dr. Amabuadu, who is the Deputy Director in charge of mental health at the Ghana Health Service, said beyond clamping down on dealers, there should also be a robust system for the redemption of those who are already wearied by the excessive consumption of drugs.
We also need to watch out for each other, yes, so that if we see some changes, we approach the people and then link them to care, get support for them. For the people that are already in it, all hope is not lost. There's the option of rehabilitation for them. So we can go into the health facilities where we do a proper assessment and then start, you know, management from there. Sometimes we need to do detox and then get them into rehabilitation.
The Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, is reportedly in good condition following concerns over her health. The Vice President was said to have fallen ill after work on Friday, March 28, 2025, and was receiving treatment at the University of Ghana Medical Center. A statement from the Minister of Government Communications, Felix Kwakye-Fosu, on Sunday, March 30, 2025, indicated that the medical experts had advised the Vice President to seek further medical attention abroad. Amidst growing concern from Ghanaians on social media, the latest update on her condition brings reassurance. Eric Ejay, CEO of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program and a former deputy spokesperson for Madam Opoku-Agyeman, during the 2024 election campaign, has confirmed that she is in good health, sharing a photo of himself and the Vice President on Facebook. Mr. Ejay assured the public that the Vice President was recovering well. And here is the quote attributed to him. He says, "Our mother, the Vice President, is in good health, thanks to God's grace. I've received updates from the team and Mom is doing very well by His grace," unquote. Some hours ago, the Vice President also posted on social media wishing Muslims Eid Mubarak and thanked everyone for the kind sentiments and well wishes this week and the holidays.
Moving on, for some entrepreneurs, Eid is a time to cash in as Muslims get into the business of buying new wear and decorations. On the other hand, some consumers face challenges due to the closure of certain businesses, particularly street food vendors, during the Eid celebrations. Erica Jumakranchi looks at the huge vacuum created when Hajia or Alaji fails to do business.
The Eid holidays present a unique opportunity for businesses to connect with their customers, boost sales, and give back to the community. Islamic food vendors serve as a primary food source for many, particularly in market areas. When these vendors are absent, it creates an opening for non-Muslim food businesses to enter the market. However, the authentic flavors and cultural significance of Muslim street food are difficult to replicate, leading many to prefer the offerings from these vendors. Hajia Ayisha, a food vendor at Circle, experienced a significant surge in sales during the Eid celebrations. She mentioned that this is largely due to the limited number of vendors operating during the festive period, which allowed her to capitalize on the high demand for food.
During the Eid celebration, people buy a lot of food and completely sold out.
Some other vendors expressed concerns about the challenges they faced in obtaining food in the market during the Eid celebrations.
My Muslim customers did not come to work today, and that did not help me. I asked that they come next year.
When Muslims go on break, accessing food is a problem. I hope Christians start selling street food as well.
Oh, and the man they say, me buy no, my Chinese are my aduane.
This are no watching, so your friend Ayisha one, I was circle. The biane here the pa, hold me didi. The moment na one man mum there. In fact, I have a pa, me and pa every day be me di watch.
I went to La Paz just to buy food. The Muslims have really made us know that it is a holiday.
It is so much biane na. Ama me who say holiday na, me who say na holiday ampa.
They say Muslim for no. I know what tia no. Omo dwane pa na secret doors more.
We have more of the Islamic food on sale here, hence their absence have really been felt.
Despite the short-term economic gap, the overall business environment during Eid remains vibrant. It's clear that the festivities extend beyond celebrations. They also contribute to the thriving local economy.
And truly, we have had calls and reports from people who went to their regular food vendors and met their absence because Hajia and the gentleman who would have prepared the suya is on a holiday. So what happens to vendors? And beyond that, how should the economy work, the local economy for that matter, especially when there are some of these holidays? Let's expand the conversation a bit further. Let's go to the phone lines now. And you'll know that for the holiday, coincidentally, it's a two-day holiday, today and tomorrow. And there are others who are arguing that this will be such a loss to productivity. But we want to find out what are the positives that we can get from some of these kinds of holidays. Joining us via Zoom now is Professor Lord Mensah, who is an economist with the University of Ghana Business School. Prof, very good evening to you. Happy holidays as well. How are you doing? Unfortunately, if you can unmute for us so we can hear you.
Yes, can you hear me, please?
Yes. So,
I'm doing very well, and good evening to our viewers.
Right. To start with, what would your initial comments be? Help us understand why holidays like what we are experiencing today and tomorrow can create such a positive impact for the Ghanaian economy. Are there any pluses? And this question is premised on the fact that the story we just heard, and from experiences, many say whenever we have holidays, looks as though regular food vendors in our local joints and communities do not come to work.
Yes, so for holidays, there are positives and negatives. But then let's, look at, the positives. We're looking at an Islamic holiday, and we're talking about possible boost in consumptions during this period in terms of livestock and other things. I mean, those who are keeping animals and those who are, selling, grains and other things. This is the time, they can sell more. And I just drove past a shopping mall and I can see a lot of people, trooping in and out. And for me, it's a way of increasing, consumption. Somebody would say the fact that they are visiting the mall does not mean that they will consume. But buying an ice cream in itself is a consumption. So from where I sit, it has some positives. And there's that kind of, consumer spending surge, during this period. And we can, comfortable, say that, look, it's a time that there's demand for, like I mentioned earlier, livestock. And there's time, demand for grains and anything that will help the Islamic community celebrate, the Eid, festivities. So, and then also clothing as well. This is the time that you will see, the traditional Islamic dresses, demand for it going up. So, in as much as it is time to relax, reflect, being at home with family, and then also visiting families here and there, it has its own economic impact, which is, positive. And so it's something that we should be embracing.
Right. And on the back of that, we also know that usually it is individuals or a few groups of people that may come together to, celebrate or put some activity together, especially in a community or in the neighborhood. Would you advise, or is there a way we can have a national program where we can even be a bit more productive, where, for instance, maybe if there's food, it will be in abundance. There could be like a trade fair where people can actually come and buy instead of individuals in bits and pieces doing it across the country?
Yeah, so for holiday economy, it's more or less tourism kind of package that can be sent out there. So like you mentioned, we can have a park where, Islamic, artifact can be displayed. And one way or the other, you get people trooping those places. Just to create, the economic activities required, of that, festivity. So, yes, it can be done. And from where I sit, it's something that we can take advantage of to boost the local economy during these festivities.
Right. And maybe finally, beyond just the Islamic holiday, generally, there are calls for government to probably consider a 4-day week or work week. So instead of a regular 5 days, we can have 4 days and then increase the working hours within those 4 days that we will go to work. Do you think our economy is strong enough to even start having these kinds of conversations?
I think it's too early to look at that. We may have to think about the policies of the government of the day. This is a government that is looking at 24-hour economy. And what we're supposed to discuss is how we can, increase productivity within this 24-hour economy that is proposed by the government, rather than thinking about working 4 days in a week and then going off for a day. The question is, what is our target? Those things are done in economies that, I can say, they are well to do. If you go to Southern European countries and other things. But the fact that, there are people go to work from, let's say Monday to Thursday, and they go off work on Friday, does not mean that there's no economic activity. We should appreciate that, working from Monday to Friday, you have production. And then working from Monday to Thursday, you have production. And then the Friday tends to be more or less, for consumption. And that is where you will see, the tourism aspect of the economy also taking over the production. And so there's also an economic activity that is encouraged within, the holiday period. So from where I sit, it's a matter of, placing priorities and getting to know what to do, even if people are sitting in their homes.
Right. Prof, thank you so much for making time of the holiday to speak with us. Professor Lord Mensah is an economist of the University of Ghana Business School.
In the Northeast region, a pressing crisis unfolds as young girls face troubling choices, including menial jobs like kaya business, early motherhood, and limited employment opportunities. The region is currently grappling with one of the highest rates of teenage pregnancy, even though its young girls often migrate to the cities in search of work that frequently leads to exploitation and hardship.
Statistics from the Northeast Regional Health Directorate are alarming, revealing one of the highest teenage pregnancy rates. Despite a slight decline in percentage rates in recent years, the Directorate is calling on stakeholders and non-governmental organizations to help reduce the trend.
It's unfortunate our teenage pregnancy is increasing because it's among some of the few leading teenage pregnancies in the country, among some of the regions that are already leading. And this has become a worry for the region, especially with the regional health director who is crying on this issue.
Amidst this struggle, Hawa, a determined JHS graduate and a mother of 3, has dedicated her life to changing the narrative for these girls. Recognizing the urgent need for economic empowerment, she has taken it upon herself to teach young girls kente weaving, a beautiful and culturally significant craft that supports financial independence and fosters a sense of community and pride. Through her initiative, Hawa has successfully trained over 500 young girls, helping them develop essential skills that lead to meaningful employment.
My main problem is to help the children so that it will reduce kaya and teenage pregnancy, so that it will help them to sit one place and do their own work, so that they will not go to kaya again or teenage pregnancy will reduce. And I entered it at 2 years now. So I'm also doing it. My hand is value for it. I'm also teaching my colleagues, the juniors who is entering. I also teach them how to do their work and how to dance and do something. I am happy because I can now do work and weave. I started small. So since I came by now, I'm getting to 3 years. So now I know everything. I know work, I know weaving, I know how to do everything. Even my juniors, even madam is not around, I'll teach them.
That notwithstanding, Hawa's journey comes with challenges. She faces ongoing difficulties in securing the necessary weaving machines and materials, which are crucial for expanding her program and reaching even more girls in need.
I have my own machine I'm using to train the children, because if they come like this, even how to get money and buy machines is a problem. So I decided to just buy my machines and put. If I pick like this, I will use my machines and train them. If I finish training them and they want out, maybe somebody can help them and buy the machines.
The University of Gold Coast concluded its Gold Coast Leadership Conversations on March 29 with a closing address by Shirley Ayoko-Botry, who is the Secretary General of the Commonwealth. The two-day conference gathered influential leaders from diverse sectors to engage in insightful discussions on ethical leadership, corporate resilience, and global partnerships.
The event commenced with a keynote speech from Sir Sam Jonah, former CEO of Anglo Gold Ashanti, reinforcing the critical role of integrity in leadership. At the closing ceremony, Shirley Ayoko-Botry delivered a compelling address, highlighting the urgent need for international cooperation to tackle global economic and social challenges.
Today we live in a world facing the existential threats of climate change and sea rise. We are also experiencing significant geopolitical shifts that are compounding economic uncertainties, including rising inflation, high interest rates, food and energy costs, and conflicts.
She stressed the importance of leveraging existing networks and forging new alliances to drive sustainable development.
Our strength as a family of nations lies in collaboration. The future is ours to shape, and the time to act is now.
In his conclusion remarks, Bishop Dr. Gideon Titi Ofe, Chancellor of the University of Gold Coast, reinforced the institution's vision of nurturing ethical and global conscious leaders. He called for collective efforts to address global issues through education, leadership, and shared responsibility.
Everything rises and falls on leadership, isn't it? And so it's important that now every human being has a leadership potential. It's a question of opportunities and then the training to lead. And if people are conscientized that you are a leader in the making and that you need to discover that leader in you, it helps you. You don't have to wait for you to have a position before you start looking for the leader in you. You must look for the leader in you before the position comes. And that's what makes you successful. So we are helping young people to go on hunting. They are not hunting for animals. They are hunting for the leader in them.
The University of Gold Coast, which was recently granted a presidential charter, continues to expand its academic offerings, providing postgraduate and professional programs with flexible monthly payment options to make higher education more accessible.
Still watching News 360. Stay with us. We have more stories after the break.
Thank you for staying with us on News 360. Let's now bring you some more stories. Owners of buildings on waterways are running out of time to move their valuables to safety following latest assurance by government to demolish all such buildings before the onset of the rains. President John Dramani Mahama, while addressing Muslims during this year's Eid prayers, served the strongest warning that such illegal activities will not be allowed to pose a threat of harm to the larger community.
Hundreds of Muslims gathered at the Independence Square to mark the end of the Eid fast with a national prayer. In the spirit of celebration, reflection and thanksgiving, they came together to express their gratitude to Almighty Allah for the successful completion of their 30-day fast and to offer prayers for the prosperity of Mother Ghana. During the event, the spokesperson for the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Arimiyao Shaibu, highlighted the significance of the occasion and urged the youth to act responsibly during the celebration.
We are not happy with many of the youth and how they celebrate. The use of motorbikes, reckless riding, very lawless, depriving non-Muslim onlookers from seeing the beauty of the culture and tradition that we uphold. These are non-Muslims who want to see the beauty, how we celebrate, what it means to us. But if we do not allow them to see this, but in place of this, we are rather lawless and reckless. There are those who ride in taxi cabs, looking very unkempt and harassing and terrorizing non-Muslim onlookers. It's not something that we want to condone.
Present at the celebration was the President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama, who, in addressing the gathering, spoke about flooding in various communities, outlining government's plans to address the issue in the coming days.
The illegal construction of buildings in waterways, causing flooding and extensive destruction of property. As we know, the rains are about to start, and already we can see flooding because people have built and blocked the rivers, and so the rivers have nowhere to go but to back up. This reckless disregard for planning regulations and environmental safety is a major contributor to the devastating floods that continue to plague our communities. I'm aware of instances where private businesses colluding with some chiefs are turning water retention areas, Ramsaya sites, into built-up zones. Let me be clear, this must stop. Those structures will be pulled down. We will not allow a few selfish individuals to endanger the lives and livelihoods of countless others. The law will be enforced, and those who flout it will face the consequences.
The event ended on a high note, with prayers being offered to Mother Ghana and the presence of various notable personalities gracing the occasion. Safa Wahini, TV3 News, Independence Square.
And as part of the Eid celebrations, the Fadama Muslim community has urged government to take decisive action against the rising issue of drug abuse among the youth. Zongo chief of the Jeddah community says the youth, being the future leaders, should be protected at all costs.
The Jeddah community came together to offer prayers for both the Muslim community and the nation. The chief imam encouraged the faithful to use this sacred occasion to extend charity to those in need. The ambassador of the Muslim community, Ibrahim Mohammed, called on the youth to abstain from drug use.
I'll
be happy if our youth abstain from these hard drugs because it won't help them.
The Zongo chief of the Jeddah community asked government to pass and enforce laws against the use of drugs.
If parents educate their children to do the right thing, then they will not abuse hard drugs. Let's all come together to make Ghana a safe place for us all.
Chief of Bura Songhai of Greater Accra urged parents to take greater responsibility in raising their children.
Charity begins at home. When the parents do their own, they try to, take their responsibilities well. I think some of these things are avoidable. This is a responsibility, especially on the father. So when these things happen, then you see the children began to want to fit into society. They begin to think more. They go outside. They are out of sight of their parents. They go outside there. They meet bad people who influence them to get into these things. So we need to work hard, especially the parents.
The community leaders stressed the importance of faith, responsibility, and the collective well-being of society.
Also, Muslims in the Gao West municipality have been urged to use the Eid celebrations as an opportunity for reconciliation and unity. The Imam of the Masjid Nur Mosque, Ishmael Tete Akono, called on Muslims to live according to the teachings of the Quran.
Fitr marks the end of a month-long fasting period, observed with joy, gratitude and generosity. In the Gawes municipality, Muslims of all ages gathered at the Masjid Nur Mosque in Sonitra to break their fast and offer prayers, expressing gratitude to Allah for the gift of life. Prayers were also offered for the well-being of individuals and the nation. The congregants further rejoiced in the successful completion of another year's celebration. Delivering the sermon after the Eid prayers, the Imam of the Masjid Nur Mosque, Ishmael Tete Akono, urged Muslims to remain steadfast in the tenets of Islam.
God Almighty Allah, despite wronging him, despite violating his commandments, he has overlooked all. And on this day, he is announcing his forgiveness for all of us.
He again encouraged Muslims to use the Eid celebrations as a time for reconciliation and unity.
Today is the day of reconciliation. Let's forgive one another. Otherwise, the blessing of the Eid will be deprived from it. If Allah is sending his blessing, his reward, if you have issue with your brother, you will be deprived. Let us reconcile with our family members, our children, our subordinates, our family members. Let us rejoice under the umbrella of La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah.
Following prayers, congregants were treated to a buffet, enjoying an abundance of food and drinks. The Eid al-Fitr celebration of Sonitra was organized by Alhaji Ibrahim Akono, a prominent businessman and devout Muslim. Many Muslims extend their celebrations by giving zakat, a form of charity to the less fortunate, ensuring that everyone can partake in the joy of the occasion.
You're still watching News 360 on TV3. Stay with us. When we return, we'll let you know what's happening in the world of sports.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. Now, inter-school sports is a huge part of high school experience here in Ghana. Usually during competitions, jama, as it is affectionately called in Ghanaian local parlance, is usually the heartbeat of the sporting events here. Now, my colleague Bilishen explores what jama truly means in Ghanaian sports and which schools have the best jama.
After most training sessions, Black Stars players gather round to sing a combination of Ghanaian gospel and secular hits. This peculiar yet beautiful genre is called the jama. Over the years, the practice has served as a morale booster for players before games and has become an integral part of the team's culture. Jama is a popular term in the Ga language which means songs sung at events. It is a genre of cheer songs sung often in Twi, Ga, Ewe, and Pidgin languages passed down through generations. This upbeat genre transcends just football and has become an integral part of athletics, especially at inter-school level in Ghana. At the Cape Coast 2025 Superzonals competition, jama took center stage once again, displaying a rich sense of culture, art, and uniqueness.
Jama has always been a thing for Ogasco, so don't be surprised when Ogasco boys are always like blaming in the jama, like they're always bashing and like dancing when it comes to jama.
That's what motivates us to sing for the artists, because we know that our God is with us and we definitely take the cup.
Several boys and girls schools in the region sang their own versions of the jama, creating a competition in the stands while athletes battled for accolades on the track and field events.
Pantipim has the best school. From the jama we are giving right now, you can see Ogasco has now collaborated with Adisco to fight against us, but then we are still standing alone and we are fighting against them.
For me, I think it's Asiedu College. And, so far, watching the games, even anyone from outside, an outsider can even tell that, our school is dominating the whole stadium.
It's Infantipim boys, and the reason is that from anywhere you are sitting, you can actually hear them.
Jama remains a fun yet essential part of sporting activities from the school level to the national level in Ghana. It has been woven seamlessly into Ghanaian culture and will remain so for years to come. As things stand, Infantipim leads the way in the region both on and off the tracks.
So kindly accept these words in Italian. Non c'è dovere più importante di quello di ringraziare. Meaning, there is no duty more important than that of giving of thanks to God Almighty.
Oh, very interesting story there put together by my colleague Bilishen. And that's the note on which we wrap up the sports segment here. If you're after some more sports stories, you can check our social media handles at 3sportsgh. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and up next is entertainment with Noella Donko.
Well, good evening and Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. Let's get into some entertainment news updates here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko. Now, brand manager for Guinness, Wilma Amosai, reaffirmed Guinness Ghana's commitment to supporting creativity within the creative economy. Speaking to 3 Entertainment at this year's Extravaganza, Wilma emphasized that promoting creativity, art and culture has always been the heart of the brand.
Now, in its second year, Guinness Ghana Extravaganza has proven to be an amazing experience for event enthusiasts. The event, which boasts a variety of activities such as music, arts, food, and fashion, provides an excellent platform for young people to socialize and enjoy themselves.
one of like the biggest touch points for us, the arts, the creatives, and for us, we want to give the platform to people in Ghana to show what they are made of, for people in Ghana to make their black shine brightest.
Highlights included electrifying performances from music stars like Joey B, Aloji, Lamem Gang, and dancehall heavyweight Stoneboy, all of which contributed to an action-packed show.
Some 20 should before we touch you. Yeah. Some 20 should before we touch you. See they call me See they call me
This year's edition, dubbed the Smooth Edition, also marks the official introduction of Guinness Smooth, an exciting new addition to the Guinness family.
This is Guinness Smooth. It's the latest addition to the Guinness family. The young people spoke. We heard, we listened, and we've given them something for them. It is lighter. For those who feel like the Guinness Foreign Extra Stout is too bold for them, we created something that is less bitter. This is more youthful, more playful, and it's made specifically for the young people, for them to be co-owned by them. So for Guinness Smooth, we say make it yours.
And now to some more stories. The highly anticipated Creator Circles event took place last Friday, bringing together a diverse group of influencers and content creators for a moment of connection and networking. This provided a unique opportunity for creators to bond and connect with one another, sharing their passions, experiences, and expertise.
An electrifying atmosphere it was, as some of Ghana's biggest influencers and content creators gathered at TV3's Ghana Village to network and engage. Creator Circles, an initiative by Media General, builds an ecosystem for content creators and influencers to thrive and grow together. And many could not hide their excitement.
Events like these actually bring people together because honestly, I'm not recognizing their faces here. And I'm so much surprised that there are lots of content creators I don't know. So at least I have seen people I've connected and then they're good.
Programs like this should be held more often because it creates the avenue for people to meet people from everywhere. You are able to relate, get to know people, have fun, and a network.
Head of Digital Channels and Consumer Banking at EcoBank, George Ofosu-Boateng, said sponging and participating fully in the event is part of the bank's commitment to the community, and content creators are not to be left out.
They have access to virtual cards to make payments on online softwares that they buy online. They have services like ticketing that they can use in their entertainment programs. And so we are joining the industry. What EcoBank is saying is that we have solutions that are tailored toward making the work of influencers and content creators easy.
As the program continues to grow and evolve, Media General has set its sights on expanding the program to other African countries in the near future.
Now, before we go, a huge congratulations going out to our very own Romeo Swag, winner of Mentor Season 13, for making it to this year's TGMA Unsung category. He joins Kojo Viper Kaiser, FB legend Yao Darling, and Fadlan in this particular category. Well, that's it for the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko.
Let's now bring you some international news.
Russia says it is still working with the US after President Trump said he was angry and pissed off with Vladimir Putin. In its first response to Trump's criticism of the Russian president, the Kremlin tried to play down the tensions between the two leaders. He said there were no plans for a call between Putin and Trump this week, but that Putin is open to one if necessary. The attempt to smooth things over came after Trump said on Sunday that he was angry with Putin for attacking Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's credibility and threatened to impose a 50% tariff on countries buying Russian oil if Putin did not agree to a ceasefire. It was a marked change of tone towards the Russian president. US and Russian officials have been in talks for several weeks to try to reach a deal to end the war in Ukraine, during which Trump has often criticized Zelensky, but not Putin. But Trump's anger with Putin was sparked when the Russian president on Friday mooted the idea of an interim government in Ukraine under the support of the UN, which could replace President Zelensky.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you very much for watching. I am Yaro Martin Asiedu Dartey.
And I'm Ayisha Yakubu. Eid Mubarak.